Hey world, my name is Erica LaFay, coming to you live from Detroit. So if you hear a few noises in the background, pay no mind, it's just the city of Detroit. I am here today to share my story with you all. It took me almost 45 years to do this. You know, these words were barely spoken to my own friends, let alone the whole world. But I truly feel that, you know, me sharing my experiences of all the tragedies, abuse, neglect, rape, everything, it's it's going to be hard to say, but I feel like if it can help others in this world that are going through what I went through or are going through it today, maybe these words can help someone else, inspire them to realize and understand, like, hey, if I can make it, if I am here breathing alive today, and if I can make it, and if I can survive, so can you. So my story is going to be in two segments. The first segment is going to be about, you know, after I was born up to the point of basically 4 years old, because that's the only memories that I remember start at 4 years old. So my first story is going to be from when I was 4 years old up to about 7. So 3 years. So yeah, I guess I'm just going to get right into it. I'm just trying to be authentic as I can, which is really who I am anyways. I love to be authentic and real, you know, because that's the only way that you're going to get the story across. You know, I originally typed everything up, and I feel like I can't just read it word from word, you know, word for word. It has to be authentic. So I have it in front of me. I'm just gonna go for it. And thank you so much for listening to me. And I mean, this is therapeutic for me as well, I think. So, okay, let's just get right into it. So, I was born on September 13th, 1975. My birth name, Erica LaFay Fuller. My mother, biological mother, was Cindy Renee Fuller. So we were living in the hood in Sagnasty, Saginaw, Michigan, city of Buena Vista. And we are very poor, very, very poor, man. We were living off ham hock soup, government cheese, Spam, and fried bologna. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Do what you got to do, right? So she was a single mother. And my biological father, I didn't want to call him that. I like to say my sperm donor, whatever, you know. He did nothing to help her. He was useless. And I'm just going to, let me give you a little information on him first so I can just get him out of the way and I don't have to talk about him ever again. Okay? Yeah, it's like that. So I did some research back in the day, basically trying to find out about my family heritage, you know, like, do I have any cousins, any family, you know, because I knew my whole life I was just an only child by myself. So I did a little research, okay? And I found out that he was a felon. Yup. He was in and out of prison. That was his life, you know? He didn't care about us, you know? My mother just wanted him to come home. She wanted us to be a family. She wanted him to be a father to me. She just wanted us to be a loving family. That's all she wanted. But he didn't care. He was useless. He was a felon, and he has a rap sheet a mile long. Like, it's ridiculous, you know, from dealing heroin, from, you know, evading arrest, resisting, you know, arrest, whatever. He could have had murder charges. I don't know. But he was in and out of the prison system his whole life. And I did find out that he was a part of the Mexican mafia in the prison system. So I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. Obviously not thinking what he needed to be thinking of is his family. And family is everything, and that comes first. And he just said fuck you to us. And he decided to be in his Mexican mafia and be, this felon and whatever. So let me just tell you, recently he had found out where I lived. He knows where I am, and I know where he is. Okay? And he is actually trying to ask me to come see him. Like, really? Really? You haven't been in my life for almost 45 years, right? And when my mother needed you and we needed you, you were off playing, criminal. So, how do you think I want to come see you now? I mean, please tell me, okay? It's a struggle inside of me, but at the same time, why should I? Why should I? I don't need that negativity. I don't need all that drama. You know what I'm saying? I don't need it. So I'm leaving him alone. He's older now, so I think, he thinks he's close to death, so he thinks that he wants to make things right. I understand that, but at the same time, like I said, it's a struggle for me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to leave that alone for now. So, anyway, so my mom just wanted to be with him and us to be a family, and she wanted to show her love, and that's it. So, with him out of the picture, she met this gentleman who became my stepdaddy for a few years. His name was Eugene. I don't remember his last name. I can't remember, but it was Eugene something the third. And he was really nice to me. He was a tall African-American gentleman. He had a nice smile. I was going to say beautiful smile because he did. And he always made me laugh. So that was big to me because I love to laugh. So he was really nice, and I always had good memories of him. He taught me a lot, being my stepdaddy for a while. But there was one thing that I remember being very, very scared about, uncomfortable. I remember he was sitting at the kitchen table, and he had a lot of weapons out, I mean, I was curious. I was 4 years old. What did I know about weapons or whatever? But, he had 2 shotguns on the table, 2 handguns, and he had like other various knives or whatever. But I remember when he got it was a sawed-off shotgun, 2 shotguns, but one of them was sawed off. And I remember he was sitting there cleaning his guns and like, okay, cool. But like, I went up there and I remember when he pulled out that sawed-off shotgun, I had a really bad feeling. Like I don't know, I just didn't like that shotgun. And I remember getting really upset. And I ran out of the room. So, and I remember I did try to actually pick one of the handguns up, and he had stopped me just in time before I picked it up. I guess I had no fear at 4 years old. I was just kind of curious, like, okay, well, what is he doing? So, but I did end up, like I said, run out the room when that sawed off just made me uncomfortable. So, so now I'm going to talk about where after my 4th birthday party, things became very dark and very scary for me. That's when just everything kind of just went downhill. It was on December 8th, 1979. My whole world came crashing down. I remember coming home from school, and I was running through the house, each room, screaming for my mother. Mama! Mama! All through the rooms. And I couldn't find her. And it was a weird feeling. And then I went into the living room, and there she was. She was lying on her back, and she was dead. She was lying in a pool of her own blood. And there was that, believe it or not, there was that sawed-off shotgun right next to her on the floor. So she had committed suicide. She shot herself in the stomach. And I don't know why to this day, but that's what happened. I just remember seeing her there, and I was just like shocked. I didn't know what I was looking at. And then the police officer came in. I remember him, and he was grabbed me, pulled me out of the room. And I just have a memory of all these officers in the house just like swarmed with police. And I remember seeing my my stepdaddy, Eugene. He was talking to the police, you know, about what happened. And later on, I actually was given the police report. And I know I threw it out because I had to just like, it was too much, you know. It was consuming my life. So I had to throw it out and get rid of it. So, but I know it. It's in my head, like I know all the details, okay? And so that day, my mama, she was so upset, and she wanted to talk to him. She needed to talk to Eugene. But he was at work. And he told her that he couldn't come home. I mean, he would get fired just leaving work. So, I don't know. That day, she just was, I don't know, just something was going on with her. Because when they did the autopsy report, there was no narcotics, no drugs in her system whatsoever. They found orange juice and maybe some eggs, something she had for, you know, breakfast or whatever. But there was no drugs in her system, you know. So that tells me that obviously she had, you know, emotional, mental issues. You know, she needed help. She needed help. And she felt like there was no one she could turn to. I'm assuming because he couldn't come home, you know, and that's when she took her own life. You know, I don't understand it. What was so bad that she had to do that? I mean, she had me. Didn't that count for something? I'll never know. And that's just the way it is. I'll never know, but I mean, she was 17 years old when she had me. 17. And she died 4 years later when she was 21. So the only memories I have of her is my 4th birthday party, you know, which was in September. And then she committed suicide in December, 3 months later. So my 4th birthday was the last happy memory I have of her. You know, she was smiling and laughing. She was so beautiful. So, I just have to try to cherish those happy times. The few memories that I do remember. of her. I do remember, since we're talking about happy moments, I want to talk about, there was a picture. She was taking a picture of me, and I have that picture as well. And I was holding the birthday cake. She had made a homemade clown cake. Beautiful cake. But it was like huge, man. And she had, I was trying to hold it. And she was trying to take a picture, but it was so heavy. I remember she had to actually get in the picture with me to help me hold the cake up. And I remember thinking to myself, yay, good. I mean, I wanted her to be in the picture in the first place with me, So it kind of worked. So I fished my wish. So she was in the picture with me. And I have that one. And she was just smiling and happy. And I have a picture of her where she climbed up into a tree. And she's just beautiful, smiling, the sun, on her. And of course, the last happy one was at my birthday party, where I was at the table in front of my cake, and I had a couple of my friends came over for my party, and my mother was standing there just smiling and just so happy. She was so beautiful. And when she smiled and when she laughed, she was at her very best. So I will have to take that from her. And I do every day. So after her funeral, my stepdaddy Eugene took care of me for a little while after that. But soon, Grandma Margaret, she came into the picture. She wanted me to live with her and my step-grandpa. I never met my real grandpa, but it was my step-grandpa. His name was Art. So my Grandma Margaret, she wanted me to live with her and my step-grandpa. So I moved in with them. It was still in Saginaw. And was I a wild child. I was running my grandma ragged. I felt so bad now. I was just, when there was something that I had wanted, she said no. And of course, what do? I screaming for my mama, I want my mama, I want my mama. You know what I'm saying? And so when I did that, she just gave in. She was so heartbroken over the loss of her own daughter and how it happened. How could she not give me that extra ice cream before bed, or that soda pop filled with sugar before bed? She didn't want to deprive me of anything, and that was bad, man. I was so bad. But she had a hard time disciplining me. That's what it came down to. And let me tell you though, my step-grandpa, on the other hand, he had no issues whooping my ass. Okay? Yeah. I think he actually enjoyed it, honestly. He used to tell me to go in the backyard in the woods and to grab like a stick, like a switch, right? And I mean, at this time, I was about like 6 years old, about 5 or 6, I think, yeah, around there. And I would go out there, and of course, me being a smart ass, I'd bring in this little ass flimsy little stick, right? And I'd give it to my step-grandpa, and he'd give me this mean look, and I was like laughing. I was laughing inside, like, ha ha, I got you. No. But the last laugh was on me, because then he went to go get his belt buckle. No, I'm not just talking about the belt. I'm talking about the big ass buckle that he used to wail on my ass. Like, he would not hold back. I'm not even kidding you. I remember screaming so loud. It hurt so bad. I used to have bruises, marks all over my body. Shit. CPS would have been to that house, you know what I'm saying? But it was This was back in the day, you know. So I remember, you know, I was very stubborn. I didn't want to eat I hate Brussels sprouts. Like, I love them now, but I hated Brussels sprouts, man. I remember my step grandpa, he said, "You gonna sit at this dinner table? You're gonna eat them Brussels sprouts." And I was like, "Yep." I mean, I sat at the table. He said I couldn't go to bed until I ate my Brussels sprouts. Oh, I sat at the table, but I didn't eat my Brussels sprouts. I slept at the table. I mean, I was a very stubborn kid, you know. I mean, everything I went through, I didn't have any counseling. Nobody talked to me, you know what I mean? So, of course, I was a wild child acting out, whatever. But anyway, my step grandpa, he didn't mind whooping my ass. So I think, honestly, that kind of got me in line a little bit more. So, but I do remember a happy time. Happy/sad, because it's like repeating itself, history, right? Because the last happy memory that I remember of my grandmother was on my 6th birthday. Yep. Sound familiar, huh? Yeah. So it was my 6th birthday, and I remember getting my first pair of roller skates. And I was so excited, man. I couldn't wait. You know, I was like, oh, snap. Let me get these on. So I'm sitting there rolling in my roller skates down the street. And what do you know? I lost control, fell down a ditch, and all my weight fell on my left arm. So I broke my left arm. So on my birthday, my grandmother's rushing me to the emergency room. And I remember the doctor like setting my arm. Oh my Lord. I remember he had to set that back. He was like, and I screamed. Oh, horrible. And my grandma's like, she's like, "It's okay. Don't worry. I got this nice big chocolate cake, you know, for your birthday waiting for you at home." So I think that's what got me through, honestly. I was like, oh, cake. The power of cake. Yeah. So get home. There's this beautiful cake. I actually have a picture my grandma took. I was sitting at the kitchen table. My big chocolate cake, right? My big chocolate birthday cake there. And it was like little ballerinas. I had like 6 ballerinas for my 6th birthday. And I had my left arm was in a cast. And I had it propped up on a pillow. It was on the left of me, on a pillow on the table. So I had this big ass smile on my face, like, yeah, I broke my arm, but I got cake. So that was cool. But I remember that was the last happy memory of my grandmother and I, because 3 months later in December, yet again, my grandmother, she died in her sleep. She had a heart attack. So my step grandpa woke up one morning and she was gone. And that was extremely hard for me, yet again, of course. First my mother, December, now my grandmother in December. Yeah, I don't do December that great. It's okay. But anyway, so my grandmother was gone, and she was, gosh, I don't think she was even that old. Like, I want to say like maybe her late 50s. Maybe? I don't know. But it was just another blow, you know, and I my step grandpa, he couldn't take care of me. I mean, he tried. He did. God bless him. He did try. But I remember one morning, you know, being late for school, and I'm literally running like the bus, like, stupid bus driver. I remember the bus driver wouldn't even stop for my ass. I'm sitting there running. The bus is like leaving, and I'm running, trying to catch it. And the kids in the back are like, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, oh, man. And my step grandpa had to take me. He had to drive me to school. I mean, just little stuff like that. But I feel like it was a lot for him back in the day. You know, he had to work and try to take care of me, you know. So he couldn't do it. So at this point, they're trying to figure out, okay, where is Erica going to go? Who's going to take her now? Who's going to watch, anybody, and so this is a part of the story that's going to be very difficult for me to speak, but I was going to say to speak these words, but I have to get through it. So it was decided that my Aunt Tammy, my mother Cindy she had a sister and 2 brothers. So my Aunt Tammy, and I have a Uncle Wade and an Uncle Billy. Now my Uncle Billy, I loved him dearly. He actually passed away a while back, and I'll miss him. Wade, Uncle Wade, I met him once, and then he never talked to me again. So my Aunt Tammy, she never talks to me again either. She hasn't talked to me in a long time, and it's because I remind her of the past. Yeah, it's my fault, So anyway, let me get to it here. So Tammy, she was living in a trailer park in the hood, and she was married to Jerry. I'm not going to say Uncle Jerry by marriage. I'm going to say Jerry by marriage. And he was a horrible monster. And the things that he did to me are unforgivable. And unfortunately, unforgettable. When my aunt had to work overnight shifts, Jerry was in charge of watching me. When I went to bed, I was allowed to sleep in their big water bed. I loved that water bed. I liked pretending that I was swimming in the ocean with mermaids. I was trying to help, let my imagination take me away as much as I could. But the harsh reality of what was going on was too much to get away from. At night, when it was pitch dark, and I was sound asleep, he would crawl on his hands and his knees on the floor to the bed, and then he would jump up and scream loud with a knife in his hand over the bed at me, doing a stabbing motion over my bed like a monster trying to kill me. I cried in fear every time, and all he did was laugh. Some nights, he would come in the bedroom, shine a flashlight in my eyes to see if I was awake or not. And of course I was awake, but I would not move an inch because I didn't want to get my ass beat, or I didn't know what was going to happen. So I pretended I was asleep. What he did to me, to this day, I have post-traumatic stress disorder, panic attacks. If there's a huge loud noise that I don't know that's coming, like unexpected loud noise, like my heart literally drops into my stomach. And it's a sickening feeling. So that's what happens when I hear loud, unexpected noises. So now I need to get to the really messed up part of the story. Also at night, not just the, monster screams and the flashlight. And he did, there's two things, a few more things that are unforgivable, unforgettable. So one night, he asked me to get into a comfortable position in bed. And I decided to lay on my back with my legs, spread out, my arms, like a starfish type of thing, right? And as I was laying on my back, he started to take objects, like, say, a pencil, a ruler, a knife, a book even. He would take these items and he would lean them against my body and outline my whole body with objects, leaning them across my body, right? Over my head, everything. My arms all around. And he would say to me, if you move during the night and knock one of these things over, I'm going to beat your fucking ass. So I did not move an inch. I was so scared. I remember trying not to tremble, awake all night, just sick. Because I didn't know what he was going to do to me. I mean, forget about it if I had to go to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't move. I was paralyzed. But it really didn't matter if I was good or not. He would always find a way to mentally and eventually physically abuse me. Which leads to this one night after my aunt left for work. I was in the bedroom trying to go to sleep in the waterbed. And I prayed he would leave me alone. But no such luck. He came into the bedroom